Hi, today's video is going to be on sentence structures. So there are four types of sentence structures. The first one is simple sentence structures. Second one is compound sentence structures. Then we have complex sentence structures, and the last one is compound complex structures. So starting off with simple sentences, these contain only one independent clause. And here are a few examples of these kind of sentences. I kicked the soccer ball. She went to Panera Bread for lunch. And the sun had an orange tint to it. So all these sentences only have one independent clause. Next, we have compound sentences, and these have two independent clauses. And to connect these two independent clauses, we have a subordinate conjunction in between. So the first example is, I kicked the ball and it went inside the goal. Here, the first independent clause is, I kicked the ball, and the next one was, it went inside the goal. The next example is, Michael didn't like to read because he wasn't good at it. So the first independent clause was, Michael didn't like to read, and the second is, he wasn't good at it. For our last example, we have, I don't drink soda because I don't like the taste. The first independent clause is, I don't drink soda, and the next is, I don't like the taste. So our third type of sentence structure is a compound sentence, and this contains one independent clause and one or more dependent clauses. So an example of this is, when the cake is brown, remove it from the oven. So here, remove it from the oven is an independent clause because it could be its own sentence, and when the cake is brown is a dependent clause. For the next example, after Vicky ate, she went outside to play with her friends. After Vicky ate is the dependent clause, and she went to play with her friends is the independent clause. Our last example is, let's go back to the park where I left my phone. Let's go back to the park is the independent clause, and where I left my phone is the dependent clause. Now for our last sentence structure, compound complex sentences. These contain two or more independent clauses and one or more dependent clauses. So starting off with our first sentence, though Jessica likes watching comedy movies, she brought the latest horror movie and she enjoyed it very much. So our first dependent clause is, though Jessica likes watching comedy movies. Then our two independent clauses are, she bought the latest horror movie and she enjoyed it very much. As for our second example, Laura forgot her friend's birthday, so she sent her a card when she finally remembered. Here, Laura forgot her friend's birthday is the independent clause, and so she sent her a card is also the second independent clause. When she finally remembered is the dependent clause. And for our last example, when she won state championship, the team captain jumped in joy, and the fans cheered. Here, when we won the state championship is the independent clause. The team captain jumped in joy is the second independent clause, and the fans cheered is the dependent clause. Thank you for listening to this week's video.